millennial or whatever post-millennial generations are called. Okay, so let's get to the actual demo part of this. So this is what you need to provide AI in order to create your course map. Here is the actual course map that you can download from Quality Matters. So you can see that it has all of this information at the beginning, and then it has a place for course materials, and then it has then this list that you can see matches up with what I've given you in the presentation, right? And then you're just supposed to fill in the rest of it. So let me get back to the handout. This is basically how you're going to do that. So this is that upper part. Then you're going to do that weekly unit module. Again, however you break your unit down, your coursework down, that's what you do it. I say week, but again, you might use unit or module or something like that. You're going to list your outcomes and objectives. You're going to list your learner activities. You're going to list the non-assessable activities, your assessment methods, like what are the major assignments and the rubrics that you're using if you're using rubrics. It's going to list your instructional materials and then your tools, right? And then I have written a prompt that all you have to do is take this and then customize it. Add in your information. For example, here it says rubrics yes/no. So if I use rubrics, I'm going to say yes. And then I can actually tell it, I'll show you on my demo how I have that done. Here you're going to say, where are you giving it the course outcomes? If you have outcomes and objectives and your weekly schedule is not really huge, then you could paste it here. But I actually suggest that you upload your weekly schedule, your outcomes, and your course description as a separate file so that it's not overwhelmed with information, because you can see the prompt is pretty long. The prompt is actually building the table that you need with the course, the QM course map. I've spent about 2 months tinkering with this to get a prompt that should give you the results that you want. So you can see that if I put the prompt in, this is what I get. So here is the top of my course map. It has my information. Here's my outcomes and learning objectives. Here are my resources, my textbook, and my tools. And then here is my table with all of my data that listed as my weekly activities put in there. So again, and then I just gave you a second class as well. My Intro to Theater uses a lot more different tools and a more variety of instructional materials. And it has fewer course objectives. So I just put that one out there too, because it's a bit of a different class than composition. But again, I used the same prompt. I just changed the data, but left everything else the same. So when you're looking at the prompt, here is how I changed mine. So you can see I added all of my particular names, right? Actually, that should be 16 week, not 17. It's 17 if we add in Thanksgiving and spring break, but it should be 16 weeks. I've told it that my outcomes, objectives, and weekly schedule will be available in an uploaded file, and this is the name of the file. And then for rubrics, I said yes, and I've used them for these three types of projects. Then the rest of this will be standard. You won't have to change anything here, or you shouldn't, right? And then other than here where it says render it named this, you can change the name of it. You can change this to SPCH 1523, GOV, whatever. All we do is just paste it in. So this is ChatGPT. I've uploaded my weekly schedule. Here I've got my prompt that I just pasted in, and now I'm going to hit submit. And it is now going to analyze, and it's going to take about 2.5 minutes. And it will give me, first of all, a preliminary look that I can open up before it does the entire 16 weeks. And it's going to ask me, is this what you want? Do you now want me to generate the rest of the course? So I can open that up, and if I see anything that didn't show up the way I wanted it to, I can then ask it to make a modification. Then I can hit yes, and it'll then generate the 17-week course or the 16-week course. So it's been a little bit around 2 minutes, and it's given me this preliminary one that's just 1 week. So I can open it up, double check that everything's right. And if it is, I can just say yes, please, then it's going to generate then the next one. So again, we're going to take about 2 minutes and then it will give me the next one. So I'm going to pause the video and come back when it's done. Okay, so that took about 2 minutes and then it gave me like 5 weeks and it asked me to check. And so I said yes, and it took another 2 minutes or so. And so now I've got my complete course map. Now all I have to do is just format it, which is pretty easy. So you can see here is all that course information, my outcomes and objectives. It has my textbook as well as the resources. And then I have my chart for all of my weeks. And you can see again, the handout will show you actually the final chart that's properly formatted. I like to use a little color, but you can see how, it covers everything. So now I just need to print it out and check that it's correct. And then I can also ask ChatGPT to assess how well I have met those standards by asking it a prompt. And I've given you that prompt and I've shown you what it says. So that's it. I hope this was helpful in getting you started in doing course maps. And again, if